Hello, everyone. If you're here, say hello. And I am excited to be doing my first sprint. And with that being said, be patient with me because this is my first time to host sprints. I have been on other people's sprints where they were hosting and I was guesting. So this is my first time to host sprints. So again, like I said, just be patient with me as I kind of try to watch the comments and figure things out. Hello, Alicia. How are you? It's so good to see you. So, tell me, what are you doing today? If you're here and you're going to be participating in the March read along of Gothikana with me, let me know. If you're just here to get some other things done during our breaks, then let me know. What are you up to today on this Friday? It is rainy and it is kind of a yucky day here where I am. Hi, Olivia. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you could make it. And I'm glad that this time works out a little bit better for you. I know since you are um, a little bit away from where I am, right? So it's good to have you coming in today. And Alicia is saying hi. Hi, Jackie. It's good to see you. Let me know what you're up to today. I am going to be reading, of course, our March read, Gothikana. Yeah, it's raining here. I see it's raining. Alicia, I don't think you're too far from where I am, maybe a couple of states over. How is Strange the Dreamer? Are you enjoying that? I'm still at some point today. I need to finish what Feast at Night by T. Kingfisher. I started reading that for Kat at Kat's Novel Adventures, her Folklore February, and I didn't quite get finished with it, even with the extra day in February, but I'm really close. So, everybody else, let me know what you're doing today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Gothikana. I've been sharing some things on Instagram and on YouTube about some of the literary elements and some of the Gothic classic references in the book. And I see that let's see. Oh, it's raining in Rome. That's kind of wild, right? That we've got rain all over the place. Okay, so Georgia, yeah, I'm in Alabama, so you are right next to me. Hello, neighbor. I see that. I'm trying to like keep up with the comments, and sometimes I'm saying responding to the comments before I put them on the screen. So, like I said, bear with me. Okay, yeah, don't give us any spoilers, right, Alicia? She says that she can't say what the last part of the book is because she doesn't want to give spoilers. Let's see. Okay, Jackie is working today, but just for a few hours. So I hope you'll be able to get your work done and enjoy your weekend. My husband is off on most Fridays, but unfortunately, too, my daughter is home from school today because probably need to do this down a little bit. I feel like, yeah. Okay, maybe that's a better angle. Like I said, I'm still figuring everything out. But my husband has a meeting today, so he'll be gone a little bit of the day. So my daughter may end up popping on sometime when I'm on camera. But unfortunately, like I said, she's not feeling well, and so she had to be home from school today. So that was a little bit unexpected, but you may get to see her pop in a little bit if she's not napping. But I'll go ahead now and just talk a little bit about Gothikana. And I haven't started reading it yet. It's been really hard for me not to go ahead. I've been flipping through it, obviously, and trying to get like some pre-reading stuff done and kind of preparing to read it. And then, like I said, sharing some things on Instagram and YouTube to talk a little bit about some of the literary elements and the Gothic classics. But one of the things that I shared too that I thought was really cool is that it has a playlist. And I am such a sucker for anything that has a playlist already made to go with it. And it goes on for like 2.5 pages. And I did share both a Spotify version of the playlist and a YouTube music playlist. And if you need me to put that link somewhere for you, if you can't find it, let me know. But if you do go to my Instagram, if you go to the highlights, the playlist, and all the other things that I'm going to be talking about today are going to be in that March Gothikana highlights list. But I've also shared it on like the community part of YouTube too. But like I said, I don't mind sharing anything again if you have trouble finding it. So, one of the things that I was thinking about doing as we were reading it together, this is going to be flexible and I want it to be fun, but I thought we could take some of the songs from the playlist and think about how they relate to different parts of the story. So if you have a few favorite songs from the playlist and you want to kind of pick out the parts of the story that they seem really relevant to, I thought that might be fun to talk about at the wrap up video at the end of the month. I don't know exactly when I'll be doing that, but I'll let you all know, of course. And one of the things too that I wanted to talk about was the name of the university, and this is on the cover, like if you take off that dust jacket of this new edition, and it is called Varenmore. So obviously a play on Nevermore from Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. So I got all, giddy and nerded out about that. Let's see. Alicia says nervous about the dark academia part. I think the academia, from what I can tell, and again, like I said, I'll be able to tell more once I get into it today. But it seems to me like that's kind of a side part of it. It seems to be much more of a dark romance. It's very spicy. Like I said, I haven't read it per se, but I have kind of flipped through it, and there's some really spicy parts. So I like spice. I'm all good with that. But if you're not a spice kind of reader, just kind of a heads up there. Okay. Well, Livia said it's on KU, so that's awesome, right? So you may be able to do it that way. Um, so let's see. Trying to look and see here. The Gothic elements are, very obvious in it. There's like this secluded castle setting. There's the secrets, their disappearances, the atmosphere. Okay, well, Alicia says it's not on her KU. I hate that. But, maybe you'll be able to get some access to it. Hopefully, right? But I thank you so much for being here anyway, right? Like I said earlier, too, even if you're not reading Gothikana, you still are obviously welcome to be here at Sprints for sure, because we all have things that we want to do or need to do, right? Um, like I said, let me see what else I am looking here. Okay, yeah, that would be good, Alicia. The dedication, I did want to talk about that. I said I haven't read it, and I promised like I really haven't read it, but the dedication, I liked what it said. It says, to everyone who felt you never fit in and learn the hard way that you don't have to. Being different is your double edged sword. One day you'll find your shield to match. So I really liked that because, sometimes I think a lot of us, whether we're horror readers or sometimes just, being active on BookTube in general, sometimes we feel like we might be a little bit different from everybody else. And that's why we kind of find the community that we find here from people all over the world, right? Because I don't have, well, my best friend, she does like to read, but she doesn't read horror. And so sometimes I still feel like I'm kind of a lone person out here, in my little world. And it's great to be able to have the community to connect with. Um, yeah, I like the dedication for sure. Excuse me, for sure too. I'm sorry, I had to get a sip of water. I hope I'm not getting sick, but my nose is a little stuffy and my throat's scratchy. So I might be starting to get what my daughter had, which is kind of the way it goes. Especially, I haven't really talked about my daughter a lot on YouTube, but she does have some significant special needs. And so she obviously is not aware of, being able to cover her mouth when she coughs, or, she can't wipe her own nose, that kind of thing. If this is TMI, it'll just have to be TMI because this is my life, right? And so, of course, when I'm taking care of her, I do the best I can to try to, wash my hands and use hand sanitizer and stuff. But sometimes it's just inevitable, if she gets sick, that the rest of us will. But hopefully it's not going to be anything too bad. One of the other things in the book too is the map that, let me, I should have, yeah, there it is. It's not too hard, but I just, I can be a sucker for a map sometimes. And this map just really, I really like it a lot. You can see, you probably can't tell from here, but you can see like the Gothic architecture and the wooded, setting. So you see that it's isolated. So both of those are obviously playing on the idea of the Gothic. And let me see. I don't know. Let me see. Wait, let me check these comments. Yeah, I'm glad it's not TMI, right? Because I just, I'm just going to be real on my channel anyway, but especially in like this live setting. Yes, thank you, Livia. I did, like I said, I kept her home from school today, and I had to keep her home yesterday too, because she is, she still has a runny nose. It's pretty bad, and some coughing, and she has fever. I'm hoping it's not anything serious. Both she and I did have, for the first time, that pandemic, illness back in August. So hopefully that's not going to be making another round. I know that I don't want to have to do that again. Let me see if there was anything else. Let's see. There are a lot of references to Gothic classics in this book, whether it be quotes or stuff that we see too, kind of in the introduction. And I did put a list of those references too. But like I said, I don't think you have to have read all of these classics, but to have a background on them would probably help it to be a little bit more meaningful or familiar. But if you have any questions about any of those classics, or you just kind of want a brief overview of like Carmilla or Dracula or Frankenstein, just let me know. I feel like a lot of that's kind of culturally understood. Maybe not as much with Frankenstein, because there's a lot of difference when you look at movie and television adaptations of Mary Shelley's story. But interestingly enough, I participated in a book club in February that we had our final meeting last night, and it was a Frankenstein. We read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which was a reread for me, but it's a classic that I highly recommend. And if you have never read Frankenstein, or even if you have and you'd like to revisit it, Lauren at Happy Haunts Library, she's dedicating this whole month to Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's novel. She's also looking at some scholarly essays on Mary Shelley and Frankenstein. She's also watching different adaptations. She's actually got Frankenstein sprints later on today. So be sure that you check out Happy Haunts Library and Lauren, and join her for her Frankenstein deep dive this month. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, I see Jackie got that illness. Yeah, and I'd gone like 3.5 years of the whole thing, being a thing before I got it. And not that it's ever a good time to have it, but this was a super terrible time because my husband was in the hospital. And I think that's probably where I ended up picking it up, was when I was with him at the hospital. He had some issues and ended up having to have emergency surgery in August. So for 2 weeks, he was in the hospital. Well, the day he got released, I had to call him that morning and tell him that I had just tested positive for that thing. So he didn't even get to come home the day he got released. He had to go stay with his mom. And she'd also been kind of trading off with me staying at the hospital, because My all of my older kids have, graduated and moved out, so I just have my one daughter here still. And I was trying to go back and forth between staying with my husband and coming home to take care of my daughter. So my mother-in-law would switch off and stay with my husband some nights so I could come home. And she ended up getting, testing positive for that illness a couple of days after my husband had gone to stay with her. So then he had to move on and stay with one of our older daughters, who, thankfully my husband didn't get it then, which would have really been terrible for him, coming off the tails of that, you know, emergency surgery and stuff. But to top it all off, not only was it me here with that illness, my daughter got it after I did. And I was in the final stages of writing my thesis. So when I say it was like the worst time ever, ever to get that, it was the worst time. The second half of my thesis, I think I totally wrote in a fever dream, but it worked, right? It worked out, and I did it. But yeah, it was wild. Yeah, it was good that he did have more people he could go and stay with. But that was a rough time. August was a really, really rough time. Um, so I get easily sidetracked and distracted, right? I blame that on my age. Here's some more TMI, menopause, all of that kind of stuff. Sometimes I completely will just, lose my train of thought, very easily distracted. Uh, so we will, I don't even, let me see. Let me figure this out. All right. I do have the Pomodoro Kitty on another screen, and I need to maybe figure out, I gotta see if I can figure out how to do that. I tried to look at it beforehand. Okay, there it is, share screen. It's pretty easy. Let's see. I don't know. Maybe I can, I don't know what this is doing. Let's see. Screen sharing. I don't have two monitors. Yeah. Let me just wait a minute on that. Uh, I usually, like, I'm very familiar with Zoom and the share screen in Zoom because I teach online classes and we use Zoom. And so I should have asked some questions of some of my people that I've gone on their sprints or been on them, or, at least participated in their sprints, about sharing the screen here, because I want to be able to use the little countdown. Yeah, like I said, there is like the share in the screen, but it talks about having two monitors. So I don't even know what that's talking about. Um, I don't know. Okay, wait. I see something. Uh, oh, it says a tab there. Let me see if that's going to work. Ah, does it show? Is it showing for y'all? It's showing for me. Did it show? Can you see? Can you see the kitty? Y'all let me know. I won't hit the little countdown thing yet. Did I do it? Okay, yay. I did it. Thank you. Thank you all. Okay. Good, 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 good. I'm so glad. All right, that wasn't too bad, maybe. Thank y'all for being patient with me. Like I said, this is, I'm used to going on and teaching Zoom live classes to my students, but putting myself out here, first of all, putting myself out here to start this channel is something else a little out of my comfort zone. Instagram, I can put the pictures on or I can do stuff, but I'm not like right there in the camera. So yeah, I've got to keep stepping out of my comfort zone, which I think this month is the great month to do it. I was talking a few minutes ago, I'll tell you all this, and then we'll go and get our reading or work done or whatever, that we're going to do for today. Yeah, old school April. Yes, be sure and watch that. Kat, Kelsey, so many others. I don't want to try to name everybody because there are a lot of co-hosts for that. So definitely be checking for old school April announcements because that's going to be a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun the past couple of years, so it's going to be an exciting time in April. But at the end of this month, I'm going to be flying to Chicago to present my thesis at the Popular Cultural Association conference. And that's going to be my first time to do a presentation like that at a conference. And I'm a little nervous. I'm trying to get excited. I started really working on my slides for my presentation today. So that's kind of making me excited. So I don't even think I said what my thesis was, but the title of my thesis is Eclipsing the Patriarchy, the Power of Intergenerational Female Connection in Stephen King's It, Carrie, Gerald's Game, and Dolores Claiborne. And so in my thesis, I'll look at the ways that these four women characters of different generations and different ages transgress patriarchal dominance and subvert those expectations, and in doing so really underline the enduring strength of women amidst adversity. So I am, trying to see this conference as less of something to be terrified about and more of something to be excited about, and thinking about it like I get an opportunity to talk to other people about something that I'm really passionate about. So it's exciting. And y'all can encourage me and keep telling me, yes, it's exciting. It's exciting. Don't be too nervous, right? So I will go ahead now and start this timer, and hopefully the timer will count down, and I will see you all back in 45 minutes, and I hope everyone has a nice wonderful time. See you all soon. Hello, how did everybody do that time? Did y'all get a lot done during our little time for productivity and reading? Let me go through and check the comments, and then I'll talk a little bit about how far I got into Gothikana. So we left off here. Yes, thank you, Alicia. It was definitely a labor of love, that's for sure. Um, because the thing about writing your thesis is it's pretty wide open, and you can pick the topic that most interests you, one that you're passionate about, but at the same time, that's also a little bit overwhelming because before your thesis, you have, certain courses that you're taking. So you've got some guidelines or some certain literature that you can write about. But for reaching the thesis, it's kind of a wide open area. But thankfully, I had a really, really great advisor, and he had, like, we did a Zoom meeting online, and he told me to think about the courses that had meant the most to me, which of the literary theories I most often, used when I analyzed the works that we were reading, and then to think about what I'm most passionate about. And so I am passionate about the horror genre, and the lens that I most often used when I was working through writing my papers was a feminist lens. So my advisor encouraged me to think about how those two go together. What is it about the feminist lens and horror that pull me into it? So that's when I decided, let me write about four strong women in Stephen King's world. I'd initially thought about writing about, of course, since it was from a feminist lens, some women characters who were written by women, but I felt like I kind of had an angle to go in at it by arguing against those who do say that Stephen King does not write strong female characters, because I encountered a lot of that. So I was able to argue back against that point. So it was an exciting time for sure. So let's see. Hey, Kat, I'm so glad you could make it. I'm so glad. I'm looking forward to. I was talking earlier, and I know Alicia said she was going to be popping in and out watching some old school April announcement videos. So I'm looking forward to catching up on those too. And Kat saying hello to Livia and Alicia. And hi, Skylar. It's good to meet you. I don't think I've met you before. The love hypothesis. Let me know what you think about that. I am not a romance reader. That's not really my specialty area. I wouldn't say that I never read romance, and I talked a little bit about that in the leap year tag video that I just did. That probably the most least read genres for me would be fantasy and romance. But right now, the interesting thing is, and I've got my dust jacket off here, but with Gothikana, it's a dark romance, and there's some fantasy elements in it too. So I am stepping a little, not a lot, but maybe a little bit out of my typical reading area in this book. But the thing is, it is Gothic, which is one of my favorite genres, and it references back to a lot of Gothic classics. So I figured this was a nice way for me to kind of get in some more fantasy and romance. But I also I participate in Book of the Month, and in addition to being able to pick your regular monthly book in March, they also let you add on free the book of the year. And the book of the year that was voted on by Book of the Month, subscribers was, let me think about this. Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. And because it's a free add-on, I did add it on. So I'm thinking about doing a vlog where I do take a little bit of a deep dive into some romance titles. So I'll definitely be doing Yours Truly, since I'm gonna be getting like a physical copy of that. But if you think I should try the love hypothesis, if that's one that could get me into romance, let me know. If anybody else has other suggestions, let me know, because I would like to, kind of dip my toes in there a little bit. Hey, Lauren. PST life. Oh, Pacific Standard Time. It took me a minute. Okay, yeah, because I'm on Central. I am liking Gothikana so far. I'll talk a little bit about it in a minute. But Lauren, I did mention your channel earlier because I talked about how last night I attended a book club for the discussion of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And I was telling everybody that if they've never read Frankenstein, or even if they have and they want to revisit, that you're doing a deep dive into Frankenstein on your channel this month. So I told everybody be sure to check that out. And I can't wait also to see what you think of Frankenstein, Lauren. I'm excited to see and follow along. And Kat is saying hello to Lauren. And we've got a lot of hellos. I love how everybody is so friendly and interactive in this community. It's a really great community. And I am so happy to be a part of that. Thank you, Livia. Yes, Kat. I knew you would come in to bat for Stephen King. Yes, I think Tabby would definitely have quite a few things to say to him about his female characters. I feel like a lot of people already know this story, but it is one of the most famous stories about Stephen King, that he started writing Carrie, and then he really kind of got stuck and felt like, as a man, that he really had no right to be talking about this young teenage girl who was experiencing her first period. So he trashed the idea, like literally. And then Tabby went and got it out of the trash and says, "This sounds good. And I think you need to pursue this." And he even dedicates, Carrie to Tabby. Basically, I'm maybe paraphrasing a bit, but he says, this is for Tabby, who got me into this and then got me out of it. So I really, completely agree. Another thing too that is interesting is a quote from Stephen King, one of his sons, Joe Hill, who's also a writer. He, I think this is a quote in an updated version of Own Writing, but Joe Hill wrote or said about his father. He said, "People think of my father as being a horror writer, but I see him as writing stories about courage and bravery. Yes, there are dark things, but he said, my father writes, about if you kick the darkness enough until it bleeds daylight." So there's always that element of courage and strength and character building. Stephen King is the master of horror, yes, but he's also a master at building characters and using the situations, the horrific situations that these characters are put in, not only to strengthen these characters, but also to speak life truths and to share very common experiences, but put them into sometimes supernatural format, right? So let's see comments. Yes, there's so much wonderful scholarship that talks about Stephen King and Tabby and their relationship. Yeah, I like Joe Hill a lot too. I think my first book that I read by Joe Hill was Heart Shaped Box, and I've also read The Black Phone and a few of his other short stories. I've got Nosferatu, and I still haven't tackled that one yet, but it's not on my 24 to read in 2024, but it would be really nice, I think, if I could squeeze Nosferatu into December. Yes. Yeah, and he does have so many books too that are not in the horror genre, like 11/22/63, The Green Mile, which, it's got some horrific elements, and even you could argue that 11/22/63 does, but I feel like too he often gets put into a box, right? And he's really so much more than just a horror writer. Not that there's anything wrong with being, there's not really just a horror writer. It's still my favorite genre. But anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent about Stephen King, right? It's so easy to do. Yeah, Nosferatu. I really hope to get to that one. And that's there's also a resurgence not only of Frankenstein media that's coming out lately, but there's also a resurgence of Nosferatu and Dracula and that kind of idea. I think it's Robert Eggers, the same person who did The Witch and the Lighthouse with A24. I think it's him that's I think he's going to be putting out a Nosferatu movie, not based on Joe Hill's book, but more so on the German film Nosferatu that really kind of stole the story of Dracula without really having the rights to it. But again, like I said, I'm so easy to get off on these tangents, especially because this is my first sprint, and I'm just like, if it pops in my head, I don't know, I'm just saying it. Uh, so let me talk a little bit about what I did while we had our little 45-minute break. I made some tea. I'm normally a coffee drinker, but my throat is really, really scratchy. And so I'm afraid I'm getting possibly the same, illness that my daughter has. So I did make some tea, and the tea that I made it's a nutty chocolate mate tea. It's a hazelnut and dark chocolate. So that's like a little loose tea packet. And I picked this up at the Spice and Tea Exchange in Fairhope. And Kat, I'm pretty sure you have visited Fairhope in uh, one of your travels before. So I picked this up when I was in Fairhope a month or so ago. And so I'm drinking my tea and drinking out of my Never Underestimate a Woman Who Reads Stephen King books. My husband got this for me after I had written my thesis, and it was really fitting if you were hearing my story about the experience that I went through with my family and myself while I was trying to finish up my thesis. This I think is perfect, right? Uh, so let me get another sip of tea. Like I said, my throat is so scratchy. It's terrible. I knew you would like it, Kat. Let's see. I skipped Kat. There we go. I knew you would like it. Peach tea sounds good too. Yes, it is. It's an amazing mug. I love it. My husband did a good job picking it for sure. The tea is really good. It's really good. Especially the dark chocolate part. I'm not usually a big hazelnut drinker, but I feel like there's more dark chocolate taste and maybe like a hint of hazelnut. Yeah, it really is a cute town. So let me talk a little bit about Gothikana. I didn't get super far into it during the sprints. I made it to like page 15, but I was also setting up some tabs, and I have a really bad habit of trying to tab too much with my annotations. So I decided with this one, I would just anything that kind of struck my fancy in my initial reading, I would make a tab for that. But if I decide that I want to kind of step back on some, I can. And I'm trying to find the page. Yeah. So this is what I did, and this is erasable ink in case I do want to change around the tabs and the things that I want to annotate. But the annotation ideas I have so far, one of the things that I want to make note of is anytime there's an omen or some kind of portent or vision of the future, because that is one of the elements in the Gothic genre. Also, tabbing things that are connected to the spiritual or the supernatural, isolation, the castle, and then specific literary allusions to other works like Dracula and Frankenstein. I talked a little bit when we first came on about even the name of this school, Barrymore, being a play on, of course, Nevermore from Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. And I don't want to give any spoilers, right? Because we are just getting into this book, but we have this already at the beginning. We have this character, and it starts off literally, I think it's called At the Beginning or Where It All Began. So we first meet these characters when they're young children. Now, the bulk of the story, the young woman is 21 and the man is 27. But we're getting kind of their background a little bit. And there's a woman who is kind of this creepy old woman, and she gives this prophecy to our character, Vad, who is the young man. He's like 7 when she gives him this prophecy. And I think that name Vad, I would think that was like a play on Vlad the Impaler, who some say Dracula, the character of Dracula, was based on Vlad the Impaler. And so we've got this name Vad. That's a little bit close, right? But she gives this prediction to this 7-year-old Vad and says that he's going to go to a castle where none go. So I marked that because that's definitely something that would be kind of like a double whammy on the Gothic, because he's going to a castle and he's getting this prophecy or this vision from this woman who can see the future that he's going to go to this isolated castle, right? And then we have Corvina, who is the young woman in the story. So when she's about 10, she is reflecting on the way that her mother is often called a witch by the people in her village. And her mother is able to communicate with voices that others can't hear. And Corvina says that she can also hear these voices too. So we kind of get that connection there with her and the Gothic element of the supernatural or some kind of spiritual element. And then in the first chapter, the opening quote is from Oscar Wilde's The Duchess of Padua. And it says, "We are each our own devil, and we make this world our hell." So, one of the things that I noticed, and this is a really cool element too, is the letter. Corvina gets a letter, kind of like if you're familiar with Harry Potter and how he gets the letter, and those who are supposed to go to Hogwarts get their letter. So Corvina gets this letter, and her name is referred to the school or the University of Barrymore. And the letter states that her name was referred to the school by the Morning Star Psychiatric Institute. So I marked that because I think that's interesting, because the Morning Star is another name for Lucifer or Satan. And I thought that kind of tied back to the quote too at the beginning, from Oscar Wilde: "We are each our own devil, and we make this world our hell." And also, as Corvina is being taken to this castle, she's being driven in this taxi, and the taxi driver is surprised to find out that she's going to this castle, and he's like, "Nobody goes there. It's haunted. It's creepy. Terrible things happen there." And it says before he starts the vehicle that he prays. And that reminds me of Jonathan Harker when he is going to visit Dracula. He encounters a lot of locals who start praying and try to give him little amulets and tokens and things to protect him. So, again, like I said, if you're familiar with some of the classics, it may, make this more meaningful to you. But at the same time, as far as I can tell right now, you don't have to have like some kind of deep background in the classics. So let me check these comments real quick. Hey, I'm so glad you got to make it. It's so wonderful to see you. Skeleton Key, I think I'm trying to remember because I know I've seen you on Cat Sprints. I think your name, I don't even want to say, could you tell me your name? I don't want to get it wrong. Let me know your name if you don't mind sharing. And Kat is saying hello to Skeleton Key and doing very well. Let's see, Livy, I read all of the books, then came back to the parts I find interesting. Okay, yeah, I like that. That's a good idea too. I know, right? It's so, like I said, I tend to annotate too much sometimes, so I'll try to scale back if I can. It's kind of hard to tell to you when you're just getting to the first few chapters what you really want to annotate. So it really helps to have it where you've got like erasable ink. And something else I was going to show you too. Now, there are a lot of books I have that I will, this may be like a red flag for some people. I do annotate like right in my books sometimes. But with this one, I don't know. It's just so pretty that I'm using these transparent post-it notes. And I'll try to kind of pull one off here. But these little transparent post-it notes are nice for that. And you can write on them with Sharpie. And you can also, let me roll my chair back. Whee! But I also like to use these light colored highlighters too to highlight. Either one, like these Sharpies, will work on top of that transparent post-it note. So if you ever want to make annotations, but you don't want to write in a book, these little transparent post-it notes are really convenient. Okay, so you're ahead of me, Livy. I hope it's going well. I like it so far. I'm hesitant to say because I'm barely into it, but I'm having a good time with it so far. And I did a lot of heavy reading in February. Some classics like Frankenstein, which is one of my favorite classics, but kind of in preparation for Frankenstein, I reread Paradise Lost by John Milton, and I mean, I will give that 5 stars, but probably my view is a little bit skewed because it's a classic, because it's really a challenging read and not necessarily a lot of fun. I feel like it's important, but anyway, I'm glad to kind of be reading something that might be a little bit lighter. Okay, Stina, I hope I'm saying that right. You may have to let me know too to make sure that I'm able to pronounce your name right too. Yeah, I've seen you around a lot, but sometimes it's hard to know everybody's names. Like I'm Literary Love 123, so a lot of people may not know I'm Jen or Jennifer. You can call me either one. So let me see if there was anything else. Um, let me see. I think we're caught up on comments. This time, Christina. Okay, I like that. So I think if it's okay with everybody else, that we may do 30 minutes instead of 45 for this next time away. Part of the reason is because I may not be able to stay on sprints as long as I plan today because, like I said, my daughter is sick at home. And while my husband is off work today, he did just have to go to a meeting. And I'm not sure when he'll be back. And I'm actually surprised that my daughter hasn't popped in here to ask me for something while I've been talking. But we will do 30 minutes if that's okay. If anybody would rather do 45, you can let me know in the comments. If I don't see anything popping up, then we'll go ahead and just do 30. So let me go over here and reset this little kitty thing and set it for 30. And then share my screen, which shouldn't take as long this time because I did not have it quite all figured out last time, but I think it should be quicker now. And I'm sorry, like my phone's on silent, but it is ringing. So let us go ahead to sprints now. Good, Kat said 30. So wonderful. Let me start us and we will go. Hello, everyone. I am back now. You can see that my daughter is right here beside me. Rena, you're making a YouTube debut. Can you say hello? So, what? Yeah, is that your hello? She's smiling. What? I know it. You better eat. So she is eating some chicken and rice that I warmed up for her lunch. My husband is still at the meeting, so Rena is coming into the office, like I said, having some chicken and rice and making her debut on camera here. So obviously, I didn't get as much reading done during that time as I would have otherwise. Eat some chicken and rice. But I did finish chapter 1 and got a little bit into chapter 2. So the way that Gothikana is set up, you get this point of view from Corvina, and then you'll get a point of view from Vlad. And ever since we've gotten into the actual like chapters, the first 2 are from the perspective of Corvina. So we haven't seen Vad. I might have called him Vlad just from habit of Vlad the Impaler, but we haven't gotten to Vad's point of view yet. But we're already seeing something mysterious. So Corvina meets this girl when she first gets to the school, and this girl invites Corvina to be her roommate, and we find out that something tragic happened to this girl's previous roommate. So there's an air of mystery around what caused her former roommate's death or who might have had something to do with it. So we're starting to get the setup of conflict and some idea of what's to come there. So, Rennie, you're getting some hellos and some ahs and some love. Yes, I knew that with my husband being at the meeting and my daughter having to be home from school today, that she would potentially be on camera. And so, since we're talking about Gothikana and all things Gothic, and Gothikana is black. Excuse me, I got a little clear tab on it right now. I know, right? Is black with the purple edges. I thought I would let Rena's outfit match the book. So let's see what everybody got up to. Old school April, yeah. Like I said, I've got a lot of catching up to do on those videos too. I know that some of the co-host videos drop today and some will be dropping tomorrow. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting caught up on those. Yes, everybody likes your shirt. Rena, say, can you say thank you? Say thank you. So we will not chat as long this time. Like I said, since I am giving my daughter her chicken and rice, which is good for when you're sick, right? Let's see, Rena, you're getting another one. One what? One psychiatrist. One psychiatry. We don't know where she picked up one psychiatry. Now, I've spoken on my channel before that I am diagnosed with major depressive disorder. So I do have a psychiatrist. So we talk about those appointments sometimes, but you know, with Rena, sometimes she will latch on to like one phrase or term and then just repeat it. So she got hung up on one psychiatry, and we don't know why, but she'll just shout that out at random times. So we kind of turned it into a joke, of course, and you know, be like, one psychiatry. I think I need about 10 psychiatries. But anyway, she's a bright spot when she's sick most of the time. Now, she had a little bit more of a rough day yesterday, mood wise, but so far today, she seems to be the happiest sick person I've ever known, right? So purple, yeah, purple and black are my favorite colors too. So that's another reason why I was so drawn into Gothikana. Like I said, I am enjoying it so far. It's a fun read. I mentioned before that I've done a lot of like some heavier reads in February, and I do have some more heavy reads coming up later in March. But Right now, I'm enjoying Gothikana, and I did also, let me give her another bite or she'll be fussing at us. There you go. Like I mentioned earlier too, I'm still finishing up with Feast at Night. I didn't quite get finished with that for Folklore February that Kat hosted on her channel, but I should finish it today because it's only like 147 pages, and I think I have around 50 more left to go. But I have an audiobook that I'm listening to right now anyway, and it was not specifically on my March TBR, but when you see my February wrap up video, you'll see that I do still have a lot of room for mood reading every month, in addition to what my set TBR is. You want another bite? Is Mama talking too much? I know, right? There you go. I'm so, Leah, she still has an appetite too. And the thing is, when she and I both had that particular illness back in August, she was still eating. Whereas I felt like looking at food made me feel, even just the thought of food made me feel worse. But she was still eating. So I can say that. And that's a good thing. She's still eating and drinking. So that's definitely helpful. But the audiobook that, like I said, if you, my brain, the audiobook I'm listening to, I'll show it to you here, is This Wretched Valley by Jenny Kiefer. Um, I have been highly anticipating that book and wanted to get my hands on it. And I do have a subscription to Libro FM, and you pay like a monthly fee. And you can buy other audiobooks, throughout the month if you want, but at least but once a month, you do get your credit just for being a subscriber. So I try not to pay extra for any books on there. But when the next credit rolled over, I was able to get This Wretched Valley, and I'm having so much fun listening to it. It's, again, like, it's got some pretty gory, and I know it's going to get even gorier as it goes, some gory parts, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. Is that funny? Is that funny? Yes, let's see. Let's check our comments, Rena. You're getting all the comments. Yes, I'm glad she's happy when she's sick too. Like I said, it's not always the case, but today is a good day, even though she's sick. Is that right? Have that? So I will probably just do one more sprint. I want to make sure that I know Lauren is doing sprints on her channel, Happy Haunts Library, for Frankenstein. So I want to make sure that I don't overlap with that, because I want to check it out myself, and I want everybody else to be able to go check that out. And because, like I said, the day kind of got a little bit off schedule since Rena's sick and had to be home. So for our last sprint, would you all want to do 30 or 45? Let me know in the comments. I'll be fine with either 30 or 45, but does anybody, do you think 30 or 45, Rena? Does anybody have a preference for either 30 or 45 minutes this next time? Are you going to answer, Rena? Do you want 30 or 45? What do you want? You look like you want a nap. Are you falling asleep in the chair? All right, since I'm not seeing anything, we'll just go with 30 this time. You see a cookie, okay. Well, I will take us to 30, and we will go ahead. Let me get this going. Let's see, is that time 30? And let me share the screen. It's already counting down. Good. I see 30 from Livia, so that works well for me too. So we'll go ahead and we'll do this last sprint at 30, and I will see you all whenever we get back. Bye. Cookie? Yeah, I know you want a cookie. Shh. Hello, how did everybody do that time? My husband made it back home, so he has my daughter now, and she is still asking for cookies. So, one of the things that I'm gonna have to add to my to do list this afternoon is to make her some homemade oatmeal cookies. So, I've got my butter softening now. My sweet husband also picked up some lunch for me on his way back from his meeting. So, I'll be getting off here and getting to enjoy some lunch. Um, I finished chapter 2. Like I said, I'm having to kind of move through Gothikana a little slower than expected today, but things are already starting to pick up. The second chapter, as I mentioned earlier, is still from the perspective of Corvina. However, at the end of the chapter, she does encounter Vad, and Vad can be described as what's known as a Byronic hero. And this is named after Lord Byron, the Romantic poet, who is often called the bad boy of the Romantics. There was a quote about him that Lord Byron was mad, bad, and dangerous to know. Some famous Byronic heroes in literature are Rochester from Jane Eyre, Heathcliff from Wuthering Heights. And the sense is that it's a very beautiful but kind of dark, mysterious man who may have some, especially if you're thinking about Heathcliff from Wuthering Heights, right? A cruel streak. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens between Corvina and Vad. Another thing that made me get all giddy with Gothic love is that in chapter 2, Corvina wakes up in the middle of the night and she likes to sleep in long white flowing gowns, and she has this, there's a candlestick on the dresser in her dorm room, and so she has a match and she lights the candle and puts it in the candlestick, and she carries that, through the castle in the dark at night with her flowing gown and her, candle holder with her candle, and she starts going up the stairs, and that's where she hears Vad playing the piano. So, like I said, I'm not big on fantasy or romance for the most part, but this is working for me so far. Um, so see. Let's see what everybody else got up to. So Stina made some progress on Mon Marie by Maud Ventura. Is that good? I don't think I've heard of that. So I would love to know what it's about and what your thoughts on it are. And Jackie, yay, you're home from work eating lunch. Oh, and Jackie is listening to my favorite book of all time, The Fisherman by John Langan. I read that at the beginning of 2023. And until I read The Fisherman, the long held top spot for my favorite book was The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty. But The Fisherman toppled The Exorcist down from the top, but obviously, The Exorcist is still number 2 on my list and a huge, huge love of mine. The movie is too. I've got a movie poster over there. I won't try to turn the camera over there, but a movie poster of The Exorcist. So, Jackie, I hope you're loving The Fisherman, and no pressure. It's, some people really don't like it at all. One of the YouTubers I follow, I think she ended up giving The Fisherman 1 star. So, and she was kind of funny about it because she didn't, there's like a story within a story there. And she said that she gave it 1 star because that story within the story made her want to go back and read about fishing again. So I kind of laughed at it. We all have different taste, right? But speaking of 1 star books, by the way, uh, Jackie and I will actually be chatting tomorrow on Elizabeth Sagewood's channel about our February group read, which was Bluebeard's Castle by Anna Biller. So if you liked that book, you might not want to catch the live show. Just kidding. But that is happening tomorrow. So I wanted to make sure that I shouted that out. And that's on Elizabeth Sagewood's channel. So let's see. Let's see. Let me go back up. I think I might have missed some comments. Let's see. The only acceptable sleeping attire. Yes, in a Gothic novel. Yes, you've got to have the flowing gowns, right? That's classic. And we're definitely getting some agreement here. Kat attended the Old School April premiere and watched Amy's Old School April video. Yes, be sure you check out all the co-hosts. There are a lot of them for Old School April, so be watching for their videos today and tomorrow. Let's see. Kat's multitasking. I feel that. And Alicia said Kat's video is great. I can't wait to check it out. Let's see, a French novel about a woman who is obsessed with keeping her husband happy. Apparently, it gets pretty dark. Very French. Sounds interesting. I will have to check that out then. Let's see what else is happening. And thank you. Let's see, 45% done. Like it so far. Good. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear that you like The Fisherman. And Libby says she is going to watch Kat's video ASAP. Yeah, I'm going to have to get caught up on all those. I don't know if I'll get to any today and maybe tomorrow or even Sunday or after, but I definitely want to catch all of the Old School April announcement videos. Let's see. Yeah, I like the references to the classic Gothic stories in Gothikana too. I think it adds a lot to the elements of what's taking place in the story. At this point so far, I feel like this is a reference to the Gothic done well, which is the opposite of how I felt about Bluebeard's Castle. I felt like that was not done well at all. But I'm gonna save all of those thoughts for the live show. I may need a little wine to have enough courage to say all that I need to say about that book. Yes, Old School April. I know I've got to get caught up on that too. So I really thank you all for watching this first sprint. Oh, let's see. Yay, Alicia could find the EPUB. Yeah, give it a shot. You know, if it's not for you, I'm a firm believer in DNFing, right? If something's not working for you, life is too short, put it down. It may mean that you'll pick it back up at another time when the timing is right, or it may just be some, things that don't work for you at all. You put them down and you never pick them up again. And I've had experiences, in both ways of DNF, and whether it's, for a time or whether it's just like, no, this is never going to work for me. So let's see. Yeah, I like that too. It's atmospheric, but at the same time, I really do feel like the story is interesting too. I've tabbed quite a few things already. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do a little bit less tabbing. I get a little wild with my annotations, and I feel like, oh, I don't want to miss this. I have to mark this. I have to mark everything. And then it gets to be too much, and I run out of tabs. I'm constantly having to get more. So it's hard sometimes to know what I really want to hone in on. Well, thank you. Thank you. Like I said, I stepped out of my comfort zone. And once you do it one time, of course, it continues to get easier. Alicia loves daytime sprints. Yeah, those work out usually better for me because most of the time my daughter would be at school. And then when she does get home in the afternoons, I'm still able to be in, somewhat on other people's sprints. Like Kat does her What's Up Wednesday sprints, and I can usually go attend those, but sometimes it's harder because my daughter's home, and then I'm not sure sometimes what time my husband's going to get home because he's a surgical nurse, and sometimes cases run late. So weeknights don't always work for me. And I teach during the day, but I typically don't teach any live classes on Mondays or Fridays. Excuse me. And even on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, when I do the bulk of my teaching, I can usually, I'll have some breaks where I can join sprints. So if daytime sprints work for other people, that's great. I will probably do more daytime sprints than evenings, but that's not to say that I would never do evening sprints. But I will keep on sharing my non-spoilery thoughts about Gothikana on YouTube and also on Instagram. And again, I have a whole highlight section on my Instagram channel for Gothikana, and that's in the highlights. And I have been doing some posts on YouTube too. But if you missed the playlist, or if you missed the graphic I made for the Gothic elements in Gothikana and the references to other works of literature and movies, just let me know and I'll be happy to get that for you, because I feel like it could add to your experience. But again, like none of this is required, right? Nobody's policing how you choose to read Gothikana. So let me just say that it's all for fun, right? Thank you, Kat. I'm glad you like the daytime sprints too. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Let's see, Alicia. Yeah, I think it would be fun for old school April and to have that Instagram, because I know a lot will go on there too. And the Discord channel, there's a Discord for old school April. And so that helps you keep kind of up to date on all the events that are taking place. So thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate every one of you. I do love this community, and I just want to give a big thank you to everybody who joined today, everybody who has been so supportive so far. You all make it easier to jump out of my comfort zone because I have my friends alongside me, right? So, with all that being said, I'm going to go eat before my food gets cold. It probably already is, but I'll warm it up. And I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thank you all so much. Bye.